तो हम लोग देख रहे हैं साथियों कि जो हमारा कल डिफरेंट डेवलपमेंट्स दैट हैपेंड in the prose. See that what are the different developments that occurred in, you can say, prose, especially if you want to see. तो प्रोज में स्पेशली क्या डेवलपमेंट्स अकर हुए उनको देखते हैं। तो सबसे पहला जो डेवलपमेंट था साथियों वो था आपका नॉवेल्स में। तो अगर हम देखें कि नॉवेल्स, जैसे मैंने बताया कि नॉवेल्स क्या है, नॉवेल्स बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन आएगा। नॉवेल्स अपने आप में दे आर द फिक्शनल कंपोजिशन विच हैज अ यूनिटी ऑफ प्लॉट। बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है ऐसे फिक्शनल कंपोजिशन जिसमें क्या होगा या क्या होता है, यूनिटी ऑफ प्लॉट होता है, उसको हम क्या कहते हैं, नॉवेल्स कहते हैं। ठीक है, यानी कि नॉवल अगर कोई है तो उसमें यूनिटी ऑफ प्लॉट होगा। तो अगर हम बात करें कि सर प्लॉट क्या है, तो यहाँ से ये प्लॉट का डिस्कशन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होगा। सो व्हाट इज प्लॉट गाइस? सो प्लॉट इज बेसिकली, यू कैन से, नॉन लीनियर सीक्वेंस ऑफ इवेंट्स। वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। Plot is defined as non-linear sequence of events. Okay, so you can say that in literature, plot is everything. All right, especially in terms of novels, we say that the plot is strong, tightly knitted, or plot is weak. Right. So everything depends on the, you can say, arrangement of incidents. There is one more definition of plot, and what is that? The definition is arrangement of incidents. What is plot? Plot is arrangement of incidents. Okay, so we can say that arrangement of incidents basically in a logical order. Whenever we see that plots, the incidents are arranged, that has to be, that these incidents have to be arranged in a logical order. Okay, who said a very famous definition that plot is the soul of tragedy? Often asked question in our all literature exam. Plot is the soul of tragedy. Yes, dear students, it is Aristotle in his work Poetics. Opined means opinion का verb form होता है. Aristotle opined in his work Poetics that plot is the soul of tragedy, right? So when we discuss about plot, we always say that what is the difference between plot and a story. Now it's going to be a very important difference, guys. Please pay attention. Now the difference between plot and story is that whereas plot is the non-linear sequence of events, we can define plot variously as plot is anything that has a jumbled sequence of events. Anything which has a jumbled sequence of events. Or you can say anything which is, you can say non-linear, as I have discussed earlier. Or you can say jumbled story, कॉम्प्लेक्स स्टोरी। और प्लॉट के बारे में क्या होगा बच्चों? प्लॉट ये हो गया, और स्टोरी क्या होगा फिर? स्टोरी इज द, you can say, thing which has a linear sequence. So you can say that a story is a chronological sequence and plot is a jumbled sequence. Okay, in which famous theory of literature do we see a distinction between plot and story, often considered as a base point of his theory? लिटरेचर नेट वालों के लिए क्वेश्चन आ गया, डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन प्लॉट एंड स्टोरी। प्लॉट और स्टोरी के डिस्टिंक्शन कौन सी मॉडर्न थियरी का एक तरीके से एसेंस है? विच मॉडर्न थियरी हैज दिस एसेंस, हैज इट्स रूट्स एज अ डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन प्लॉट एंड स्टोरी? सो गाइस द आंसर इज नैरेटोलॉजी। ठीक है, नैरेटोलॉजी में हम लोग देखते हैं प्लॉट और स्टोरी के बीच में डिफरेंस होता है। फॉर्मलिज्म में भी हम देखते हैं कि प्लॉट और स्टोरी के बीच का ये डिफरेंस बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मायने रखता है। ठीक है, छोटा सा नेट वालों के लिए भी क्वेश्चन था, सभी लोग नोट कर सकते हैं वैसे। ठीक, नैरेटोलॉजी या फॉर्मलिज्म की थियरी में हम प्लॉट और स्टोरी का डिफरेंस देखते हैं। अब लेट्स कंटिन्यू आवर डिस्कशन ऑन प्लॉट. So when we talk about plot, we know guys that there have been rather many questions asked on this from this topic, especially you can say the plot as there are two types of plots, simple plot and complex plots. Okay, simple plots and complex plots. Okay, basically the great Aristotle categorized plots into these two categories. And according to him, complex plots are good for tragedies. Please note कर लेना. Complex plots are good for tragedies, according to Aristotle. And Aristotle also said the distinction between एपिक एंड ट्रेजेडी. एरिस्टोटल ने किस किस की डिस्टिंक्शन दी है? एपिक और ट्रेजेडी की डिस्टिंक्शन दी है. और इसमें इन्होंने बताया है कि एपिक और ट्रेजेडी में क्या डिफरेंस है. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है गाइस. एपिक और ट्रेजेडी में क्या डिफरेंस है? तो अगर आप यहाँ पर देखेंगे, एपिक हम कह सकते हैं यहाँ से आपका बेसिक्स ऑफ लिटरेचर में पोइट्री के अंदर एपिक्स आ जाता है. तो एपिक्स क्या है, या एपिक महाकाव्य इन हिंदी. एपिक इज एनीथिंग ग्रैंड टेल इन वर्स. Okay, epic is a grand tale in verse. All right, and you can say tragedy is total. It is an imitation of an action, serious and complete. If you remember that definition, right from your MA days, we keep on mugging up that definition, right? So I am not going to write the complete definition, but it's an important one. It is an imitation of an action that is serious and complete. Dot dot dot. That is serious and complete. I'm not going into it, resulting into the catharsis of pity and fear. So these are some keywords that was, you can say, Aristotle, catharsis, and then resulting in pity and fear. The purgation of emotions, right? When the emotions are purified, when the emotions are further distilled, okay, it's called as catharsis. So it's purgation or purification of emotions, right? And we can say that pity and fear are the two important elements that result in, you can say, definition of tragedy. You mean that means if tragedy has to be there, it should result in the element of pity and fear. Okay, so in that sense, it's a very important definition. Okay, so one thing more that I would like to say is that epic, as I have discussed, he compared between Aristotle, that is compared between epic and tragedy, and declared that tragedy is superior to epic. It was not so before Aristotle. So Aristotle was the first one who discussed tragedy as superior to epic. Okay, so let's continue difference between plot and story I was discussing, and then I told you about the complex plots as greater plots than, you can say, simple plots by Aristotle. Okay, for example, the definition of the plot can be asked, and the different names of plots, they might be interested in knowing the different names of plots that we have discussed today. And one more thing about this thing is that in, you can say, precursors. Okay, so precursors of novels, right? Or which works were called as precursors of novels, right? Precursors of novels means works which showed the traits of novels, but they were not classified as novels. Okay, so in precursors of novels, they were called as romances. There are various works which are called as precursors of novels. Very important section for our competitive exams. Okay, they are always asking question from this section, precursors of novels. Okay, so they are called as romances. So what is romances? Romances is a work which is, of course, you can say, which has love as a theme, but basically which has a loose plot. You can say a romance is basically prose work, loose plot, written before novels were invented. पहला novel known was is called as ट्रॉयलस एंड क्रिसीडे बाय चौसर. अब अगर इसमें बात करें हम कि इसको फर्स्ट मॉडर्न नॉवल विद अ मॉडर्न हीरोइन भी कहते हैं. ट्रॉयलस एंड क्रिसीडे में जो क्रिसीडे है, इसको फर्स्ट मॉडर्न हीरोइन भी कहते हैं. ठीक है. इसके अलावा अगर हम बात करें कुछ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट प्रीकर्सर्स में, तो आपका कई बार हम देखते हैं कि कौन सा वर्क आता है, एलिजाबेथन एज में हम लोग देखते हैं फिलिप सिडनी का आर्केडिया. फिलिप सिडनी का आर्केड, वी कैन सी फिलिप सिडनीज आर्केडिया, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वर्क. It's a pastoral romance. There were many shades of prose coming up here, and it's known for its Arcadian prose. That means a very decorative style of writing. Decorative, you understand, not in terms of physical decoration of the alphabets, but decorative means using lots of figures of speech, lots of rhetorical prose. So decorative prose, was the meaning of Philip Sidney's Arcadia or Arcadian prose. And then moving on, let's see point number three, and that is very famous. Um, Lilly, John Lilly, who is one of the university wits, came up with Euphus, 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 the anatomy of wit. Euphus, the anatomy of wit. John Lilly ka Euphus, very important. So from here, from Euphus, we see two important works being developed, or sorry, two important terms, literary terms are originated. One is euphism. Very important question, guys. Euphism. You will find this question in net often asked in previous year papers. And euphemism. Watch out for the spellings and also find out the exact difference between the two. So here the word euphis derived from euphism. It means this quite the same as Arcadian prose. That means a prose which is you know laden with decorative phrases, which has decorative physiology, or the clauses and all such things are in a very highly decorated manner. And euphemism, on the other hand, is actually a word which represents polite expression. Okay, it means inoffensive expressions or polite expressions. Okay, so for example, look at the example. If I say somebody has passed away, he died or expired. If I use the word pass away, that means passed away or passes away, whatever. That means I am using the example of euphemism. So euphemism means using polite expressions. And both the terms are quite similar looking, but there is a difference. And this question has been asked a lot of times, right? So this is a very important point. Then if we move further, we can say that Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress also as a very important landmark work in terms of the development of novels. Bunyan's or John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress. I remember the year of this work also. It's a very important work, 1678, and the second part came out in 1684. It is written by John Bunyan, a Restoration Age writer. He belongs to Restoration Age, guys. If you look at the ages, you will find out that there are different ages, right? In literature, we will come to that topic separately. So Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress is considered as a greatest religious allegory also of English literature. Okay, it's also called as, you can say, the second greatest religious book after Bible. Second great religious book. New facts, basic facts. When I talk about Bible, always remember this one very important competitive exam oriented fact, and that is, when was authorized Bible published? They have been asking this question like anything, okay? And especially the net students, they can make their own notes on this topic, that authorized Bible was published in the year 1611. It's considered as a very, very important development, especially in the Jacobean era. We know that after Elizabethan age, King James I came to the throne. So his Latin name was Jacobus, and hence the name Jacobean was derived. And we know that Bible or authorized Bible published in 1611 is considered as the most important Bible in the history of different Bibles that continue to come in its in the past times. Okay, so it's also known as King James Bible. Both are same. If whether you call it as authorized Bible or whether you call it as King James Bible, because of course it was King James who sanctioned and ensured that 47 scholars, 47 scholars worked day in and day out for 7 to 8 years and finally compiled this magnum opus. The work is known for its imitation, and it's considered as a trendsetter. Many great writers followed the suit, and try to copy the prose style of this Bible, right? So it's a very important one liner for you to, it's a very important mark fetching area. Bible, they are always asking questions from this, especially in net. Okay, so I was discussing Pilgrim's Progress, guys. So in this very interesting work, the journey of Christ is shown. Christ represents all the Christs basically, or should I say the Christian man, and his journey from hell to heaven is a journey that each Christ undertakes from his journey, from his journey to hell, and to hell, a journey from hell to heaven, right? Please mark it as very important point. Journey from hell to heaven. So Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress. If you ask me that, sir, in net, tell us any five texts which are always they are always asking time and time again. So I will definitely consider this as a very important text, Pilgrim's Progress, especially the net students. For LT lecturer level students or for LT lecturer exams, they will be asking the factual question, but for net they will be really probing you deep inside from this work. So please mark this work as a work of for micro study. Go in detail, find out the different stages which Christ goes, read in absolute detail. I recommend Spark Notes, a very important website that's helpful for all of you. Okay, and especially in Spark Notes, this topic is covered beautifully. Okay, so go for Spark Notes, especially those who are going for net. Try to find out more about Pilgrim's Progress. Look for all MCQs and try to cover this topic in great detail. Okay. So this is precursors of English novels. The list is, it is Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe. Okay. Daniel Defoe was the writer known for his prose, journalistic prose style. He was a government spy as well as, you know, um, a controversial writer who has been put into jail and served was served severe punishment. His work, Robinson Crusoe, is often considered by many novel critics as actually the first novel of English literature. But these are all precursors, as I have been repeating. Robinson Crusoe, it's a tale of survival. Okay, and it's a tale of a man who is actually marooned on an island and how a man survives there. So it comes under survival literature. So NCRT class 5, there is a chapter on Robinson Crusoe. So as I've told you, it's a tale of survival. Okay, and it was published on, date is important, that's why I was looking out for the date, 25 of April 1719. Okay, the life and strange surprising adventures of Robinson Crusoe. Okay, please note down the source of Robinson Crusoe. Actually, Robinson Crusoe is a fictional account, but it was pretended or presented to be a real account, but it was actually the brainchild of Alexander Selkirk. Okay, he was the man behind this story, and rather, he was the real character who wrote the experiences of Alexander Selkirk. Now, based on that, Robinson Crusoe was eventually written, which Defoe disclosed later on in his life. Okay. Now, moving on, we have another work lined up for you, a very important work, guys, and that is Jonathan Swift's Gulliver Travel, right? Gulliver Travel is also considered as a cult classic in terms of its representation of human voices. It's a biting satire on human voices. Gulliver Travels was published as 4 parts. In some books, in some of the sources, it is written as 5 parts. I considered it as 4 part. It's a date of publication, no? 25 April 1719. Then Jonathan Swift's Gulliver Travels is there. It's written in 4 parts, a very important work, guys. It has to be a very important work because this in this work it's a, you can say it's a fictional travelogue, and as I've told you, it's a satire on human vices, especially human intellect is targeted upon in this great work, Jonathan Swift's Gulliver Travels. Okay. And this work is also given as a homework for all students. Write down all its four parts, different names, and in this Gulliver Travels, he goes for sea voyages. Okay, so where is he going first? Then which voyage is the second voyage, third voyage, he goes to which place? All these questions have been asked. One interesting thing about Gulliver Travels is that it was not written as a children work or amusement work. It was written as a satirical work, but it is often read as one of the classics of children literature. Just like Robinson Crusoe above, it is considered as a great work of children adventure. Got it? I can tell you the word Lilliput is actually taken from this very famous work, Gulliver Travel, the island of Lilliput. Similarly, the island of Brobdingnag. All these are, different names that he coined for himself. So Lilliput, remember now, or if you know already, Lilliput actually refers to minions or tiny people who are very short in height. So you can say Lilliputs, they were called as Lilliputs. So what do you call when you coin a new term, or when you coining a new word or term or phrase is called as coining a new term, word or phrase is called as, we call it as neologism also. Shakespeare is known for neologisms. He coined many new words, new phrases in English literature. Okay. So moving on, our discussion continues. There is one more work, guys, that can be included here as a very important precursor of English novels, and that is, you can say, Ephra Ben's Orunuku. Very important work, Orunuku by Ephra Ben. So it was originally published in 1688. The book was also adapted into a play, and there are famous characters. Most importantly, Orunuku is was the royal slave story of the royal slave of Suriname. Suriname was a country in Africa. So the book is considered as the first of the slave narratives. गुलाम प्रथा पर लिखा गया पहला वर्क माना जाता है, और novels की इसमें भी आ जाता है. First of the slave narratives, Orunuku. As I have told you that this novel was made into a famous play also, and it's a story of a royal slave of Suriname, Surinam, Suriname, and it's considered as the first slave narrative of English literature. So these were some of the great works that were written before the novels actually originated. So when I talk about novels, guys, there is this very famous topic, and very marks uh, fetching topic, and that is four wheels of novels. Always they are asking this term, very important. Please write it down. They are also called as four wheels of Wain, Wain. Wain means a kind of carriage. All right. So these are the four pillars of novels also. You may give them whatever name you want. It is up to us. Give the names, but it remains the same. Very famous formula. Please remember the formula. It is RFS square. What is the formula? RFS square. Okay, where R is Richardson, F is Fielding, S square, where one S is Smollett, and the last is Lawrence Stern. Richardson, Fielding, Smollett, and Stern. These are the four wheels of novels that came in the 18th century, mid 18th century, I would rather say. Now, four wheels of novels can be, Richardson is can be called as the father of English novels. Although in some works or books, you can say Fielding is considered as the father. So Richardson wrote Pamela, a very important novel, considered as the first English novel, or Virtue Rewarded. Pamela or Virtue Rewarded. Okay, so the subtitle of Pamela has often been asked, and it came out in the year 1740. Okay, similarly, Fielding is known for his great work, Joseph Andrews. That was the parody of Pamela, Joseph Andrews. Earlier, he wrote Shamela, which is not considered as a prose work, considered as a novel. It's considered as a prose work, Shamela. But I would first of all write Joseph Andrews as a novel. But the greatest novel that Fielding was to write was Tom Jones. Tom Jones is considered as a masterpiece. Very, very important novel. On one hand, Richardson is known for his, please put it in capital, very important word, epistolary. Sorry. Okay. And the second is he's known for his, what is epistolary? The meaning of the word it's derived from the word epistle, which means written in the form of a letter. Okay. So any novel which is written in the form of letter, or should I say exchange of letters. Letters, एक तो होता है letter means वर्ण भी होता है ना, alphabets वाला नहीं, पत्र चिट्ठियां वाला. So the novel is written in the form of exchange of letters between the characters. That's why the term epistolary is used for him. And Richardson is known as a didactic or moralist. In his novels, there is a distinct overtone of moralism, or morality rather, and that was what attacked by Fielding in his famous defense of Joseph Andrews, where he called novel as comic epic in prose. Very important term. I have told you many a time that this question was asked when I qualified my commission interview. This question was asked, and what was the question? That what is called as comic epic in prose, or who called comic epic in prose, novel as comic epic in prose? The answer is Joseph Andrews. Sorry, Fielding in the preface of Joseph Andrews. Please correct myself. Please let me correct you. It was given by Fielding in the preface to Joseph Andrews, where he called novel as comic epic in prose. Apart from that, he is known as the one who introduced realism to English novels. Realism is actually the most striking factor that differentiated novels from its earlier precursors. That's why in some of the books, they consider Fielding as the true father of English novels. But according to my knowledge, or as far as whatever little I know, I can say that chronologically, yes, Richardson has to be the first one because his novel came first. But yes, thematically or arguably, you can say, if you want to give the argument that realism is the core of novels, and mainly novels were written for middle class. So basically, the novel as a class did not appeal to lower class or to upper class. The novels were mainly written for the middle class, which was actually the greatest chunk of population at that time. So the population was getting educated, as well as they wanted entertainment, which was not there in drama because it was banned by government, and also it became vulgar in many ways. So the educated audience wanted a kind of entertainment which can be clean, as well as they wanted that to be clean as well as enriching, and that was possible only in novels. So that in a way led to the development of novels. Okay, now when I talk about Smollett, Tobias Smollett is known for writing sea novels or sea voyages, sea novels. His in his most of the novels, you can see that sea or navy naval experiences are depicted more. He is known for his very famous. There are two or three novels that he wrote famously, but Roderick Random is considered as his masterpiece. Roderick Random, and Humphrey Clinker is also Humphrey, Humphrey, Clinker, Clini. is also one of the sorry novels. Now let's move on to Stern. Stern is known as the name suggests, Stern means serious in that sense. But in his novels, he is known for writing a masterpiece, or should I say, a novel which he kept on, editing and re-editing and continued to write seven volumes of it. And this was a very important milestone of English novels. Watch out for the tongue-twisting spelling of Tristram Shandy. Let me correct it. It was not published in seven, it was published in nine volumes. Okay. Please let me correct it and write it down also. Tristram Shandy was published in total nine volumes. This is a very important question. And the first volume came in 1759 and continued till 1767. So 1759 to 1767. And a very important thing about this novel was that, please mark it as very important novel, because why? Let me tell you, because this novel is considered as the again a precursor of modern novels. Before that, I just in my lecture earlier today, I told you precursors of novels, but here please mark the difference. It is the precursor of modern English novel. So the word modern is important here. In fact, when we use the word modern, we can use it for Chaucer's Canterbury, Troilus and Cressida also. But in each era, the word modern has different meanings. Let me clear it out. Now, when I say precursor of modern English novels, it's a very important term, or should I say heading, that I am giving to him. It means that whenever the word modern comes, you must be alert, because there have been questions mainly from modern literature nowadays. So you can say the word modern at its basic level, please write them down. It has two meanings, guys. Modern in literature means one is experimental. The one that is modern, that means it will be experimental. Okay. And the second is psychological, experimental and psychological. So anything which is modern literature, whether in 14th century, whether in 18th century, whether in 21st century, it will have definitely to this, it will have these two features as its at its core. One is experimental. It will be an experimental work. What do you mean by experimental? That means the work will have new experiments included, maybe in narration, maybe in characterization, maybe in plot, whatever way. But there will be certain thing that is new from the old pattern. And the second, modern, the meaning of the word modern in literature means psychological. It will be always telling you about the inner conflicts. It's not worried about the outer, outer descriptions, outer ideas. It's worried about the inner conflicts. Got it? So we can say that Tristram Shandy in that way is one of the base of the modern novels from which English, you can say, and novels emerged, especially the modern novels. Now, when I talk about the word modern, let me just conclude this lecture with a very important question, that which novel is considered as the first modern European novel? A very important question, guys. First modern European novels. Those who have taken our courses earlier, or those who are doing the revision, they can attempt this question. First modern European novel. Please mind the word European. I am not asking the English novel first, first modern English novel. I am asking the first modern European novel. Guys, this novel was the main source of inspiration for Fielding as well as Stern. Yes, my dear students, I am writing the very, very important novel, and it is written by Cervantes, Miguel de Cervantes. Cervantes, very important Spanish author, guys. And the work that he wrote that literally took the European world by storm was Don Quixote, Quixote, written as Quixote but pronounced as Quixote. Yes, my dear students, Don Quixote or Don Quixote is considered as the first modern European novel, right? It's written by Cervantes, a Spanish slash Portuguese author, and Don Quixote is a masterpiece of its own. The first part was published in 1605. Please remember the year of this very, very important novel. Please do it as homework today. Find out what was new in this novel, why it is called as modern, what were the techniques that Miguel de Cervantes applied to this work. You will be fascinated to read the story of Miguel de Cervantes' Don Quixote. Okay, so I hope, guys, you are liking the lecture. I hope you are enjoying the lecture. Please do, you know, share your opinions and do share this news of coming up with these interesting discoveries. Each day we'll continue to learn, and it's important to do revision. Please do revise whatever we are learning every day. And revision is the it looks very simple, but it's not that easy. And second thing is homework. If you are doing your homework properly, then I am sure that those who are doing the homeworks correctly and properly, they are definitely going to get this exam clear. Okay, so with lots of blessings and lots of love to all of you.